Some people wake up every morning with fresh money in their account, earned while they slept, without checking a single email or taking a single client call. And it's not because they have a side hustle, it's because they own businesses that run on their own, almost on autopilot. I'm not talking about stock market investments or complicated real estate. I'm talking about boring, simple businesses that almost nobody considers a real business until they see how much they bring in every month. Before we get started, let me introduce myself real quick. My name is David. I have a degree in business strategy and transformation, and I've spent 7 years researching how ordinary people with no inheritance and no connections build real wealth. After reviewing 20 low-maintenance business models, I organized this explainer into a list that anyone can replicate. Some of these are going to sting a little because you've probably had the chance to start one of them already and you let it pass. If you only act on one idea from this list, make sure it's the last one. It's the one that generates income with the least effort out of all 20. The one undeniable truth I've learned is that almost nobody gets rich with a brilliant idea. They get rich with a boring idea that nobody else wanted to do. Let's get into it.
Okay, let's dive into this. We're going to group these 20 businesses into 6 overarching categories. First, the boring wealth secret. Then, uncomfortable moats, invisible real estate, niche operations, buying proven cash flow, and finally, the recurring revenue rule.
All right, Section 1, the boring wealth secret, or the myth of the brilliant idea.
We all grew up watching movies about visionaries inventing the future in their garages, right? But in the real world, wealth usually comes from highly repeatable concepts that solve everyday problems. So what is a boring business? It's a highly unglamorous, repeatable process that solves a mundane problem. It generates consistent cash flow, and best of all, it has incredibly low competition. Highly educated people completely overlook these literal autopilot systems because at first glance they just look like chores. But that lack of glamour, that is exactly what protects your profit.
That brings us to Section 2, uncomfortable moats and margins. This is all about profiting from physical discomfort.
In business, we talk a lot about moats, those barriers that protect you from competitors. Well, sometimes the best moat is just dirt or fear. Take commercial window cleaning. Someone hanging from a harness sounds dangerous and blue-collar, right? But commercial window cleaning contracts for office buildings and hospitals pay between $400 and $1,000 per workday. And many operators work exclusively on annual contracts that renew automatically every January. An operator running 3 two-person crews can bill $300,000 a year, and the only real barrier to entry is a fear of heights. You don't have to strap on a harness yourself, you just build a business around the people who do. Or consider pressure washing. No special license needed, no massive investment, just a $1,500 to $4,000 washer and a willingness to sign corporate contracts. Whether it's the dread of a cockroach problem in pest control or dangling from a roof, the uglier and more physically uncomfortable the job, the fewer competitors you're going to have.
To really drive this point home, look at the portable restroom rental market. It was valued at $20.71 billion and is projected to reach an absolutely staggering $34.86 billion by 2030. Every construction site, every outdoor event needs one, and literally nobody wants to own one. You are renting out an incredibly uncomfortable product that nobody actually wants to buy. And that acts as a massive impenetrable moat against your competition.
Moving right along to Section 3, monetizing invisible real estate, generating profit from empty space. Now, these aren't your traditional storefronts where you have to greet customers with a smile all day. This is the brilliant monetization of idle, totally overlooked locations. We're looking at vending machines, ATMs, laundromats, self-storage, and parking lots. Think about a parking lot for a second. You're making money from empty land in a high-demand area. Or a vending machine. You're basically buying permission to stand 24 hours a day in a spot that was previously generating $0. Smart operators stack this income. They'll put an ATM right next to a vending machine inside a laundromat, magically turning one invisible location into multiple passive revenue streams.
And if you're wondering about the stability of this category, check out this unbelievable stat. 95% of laundromats survive after 5 years. Compare that survival rate to trendy, innovative restaurants that constantly fail. Serious investors prefer washing machines over trendy bistros any day because washing clothes is a permanent, economy-proof necessity. It just doesn't change with the latest tech trend. All right, let's jump into Section 4, profiting from niche operations, solving the micro-problems the giants ignore.
This whole category is about the quiet operations that keep other businesses running smoothly behind the scenes. Take light manufacturing, for example. Nobody dreams of manufacturing custom plastic screws, which is exactly why a small manufacturer can make millions, making the specific part 100 different factories need. The order is just too small for a giant corporate factory to bother with, but perfectly sized for you. Or take small business management software. You don't need to code the next viral social network. You just need to build a simple scheduling tool that takes an annoying operational task off a local plumber's plate. They will gladly pay you every single month just to make that headache go away.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the massive jump in rates when a standard trade specializes. When a traditional electrician pivots to specialize exclusively in EV charging installations or smart home systems, their rates can easily exceed $250 an hour. We see the exact same thing with plumbers who specialize only in emergency commercial kitchen repairs. They become absolutely irreplaceable to their specific clients. And when you are irreplaceable, you completely stop competing on price.
Next up is Section 5, buying proven cash flow. Basically, skipping the risky startup phase entirely.
This requires a pretty massive mindset shift. Instead of struggling through the notoriously risky startup phase and trying to hunt down your very first customer, this quote from Walker Deibel really hits the nail on the head. When you buy an existing service business, like a cleaning service or a pest control company, you aren't just buying a brand. You are buying a proven instruction manual. Someone else already made all the costly mistakes. They already figured out what works. And most importantly, they already have a loyal customer base. You're buying immediate cash flow, which drastically alters your risk equation.
And the data backs this up beautifully. With an average initial cost of around $275,000, service franchises see an average revenue of $1.67 million. Smart investors gladly pay for this because they highly value the predictability of a proven system. In fact, businesses with recurring revenue often sell for 3 to 5 times their annual income, precisely because that money is already flowing.
Finally, we arrive at Section 6, the reoccurring revenue rule, the golden rule of boring wealth. This rule is the invisible thread that connects all 20 of the low-maintenance businesses we've analyzed in this explainer. I want you to pause for a second and ask yourself this critical question. Does it pay you once, or does it pay you every month? Think about it. If you sell a single popsicle, you get paid once. But if you own the vending machine dispensing them, you get paid every single day without having to convince the customer to buy again. Asking this one critical question immediately filters out 90% of bad business ideas that rely entirely on exhausting one-time sales. This quote by Morgan Housel perfectly summarizes the psychology behind why these businesses are so often overlooked. People underestimate the power of simple things that repeat consistently because they chase excitement instead of consistency. We are wired to chase excitement, but true wealth comes from executing old, unglamorous concepts better and with more consistency than anyone else. The magic isn't in brilliance, folks. It's in the repetition.
And this brilliantly illustrates the real-world impact of that choice. Over on the left, we have Daniel. He spent years burning his savings chasing the perfect, brilliant app idea, competing against thousands of other ambitious tech founders. Today, he's still employed, still searching. On the right, we have Alex. Alex just bought a boring 15-year-old laundromat, added a couple vending machines, and stacked his recurring revenue. Today, he's financially free. Daniel didn't fail because he didn't work hard. He failed because he chose a hyper-crowded, innovative space. Alex won because he chose a playing field almost nobody else wanted to step onto.
So as we wrap up this explainer, I leave you with this final thought to chew on. Are you still chasing the brilliant idea, or are you ready to execute the boring one? Wealth is out there waiting for those willing to do the unglamorous work. Thank you for joining me today. I highly encourage you to look around your city the next time you go out. You'll start seeing these silent, boring wealth machines absolutely everywhere.